G'day there guys, big fan of toilet paper here. It's your host Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Tell me what you think about it down below, smash that like button and enjoy the show. Thank you. Posted by user WarmCap459, titled, Am I the a-hole for playing the race card when it's not about my race? My girlfriend is Korean and often cooks our meals. For lunch at work, I tend to bring leftovers, usually Korean food, specifically kimchi. I know kimchi can be pungent, but honestly, I've never personally found it offensive. I can understand how others might though. Recently, one of my coworkers has been harassing me to stop bringing it. Me and this coworker are not close, and really the only time she talks to me is to talk about how she doesn't like my food. It all came to a head on Friday when she approached me again. This time I could tell that she was really upset. At work we have a 3-hour block that we can take a 1-hour lunch break during. I offered a solution that I would take my break during the first hour, 11:30, and she could take hers during any point of the other 2. That way she wouldn't have to smell my food. She got really upset, saying she shouldn't have to change her eating habits because I want to bring disgusting food. I said something along the lines of, "This is kimchi. It's traditional Korean food. What would you do if we hired an actual Korean person and this is what they wanted to eat?" At this point, a few people were looking at us. The coworker backed down, but not before saying, "You can't play the race card when you're not a part of that race." I don't think I'm the a-hole for standing up for myself, but am I the a-hole for bringing race into it? Edit. Just wanted to clarify, I'm not microwaving the kimchi. Also, the kimchi is bought from the store and brought in as a side dish with whatever leftovers I'm having. It's only brought on days my girlfriend cooked Korean food the night before. I agree with the sentiment that you can't play the race card when you are not a part of that race, but there are definitely situations where I feel like there's a possibility of it making sense to play the race card when you're not a part of that race. I do acknowledge that, I just think it was a random low blow. But I don't get why you can't just bring something to keep the kimchi in cold to the side that won't be smelly and stinky around everyone else's food. It's clearly causing a disruption and it's probably going to get you reported because you don't see people eating ridiculously smelly food all the time and getting away with it. And if they do, I can't imagine it's making everyone else around them too happy. I feel like you're being the rock in a hard place in this situation. Please stop doing that because you are the a-hole. I'm going to say you're the a-hole here for one simple reason. You acknowledge that kimchi is a noticeably smelly food, and yet you choose to bring it anyways. It has nothing to do with whether or not an actual Korean got hired. There are Korean foods other than kimchi which could have been packed and brought. I'd also expect any person of any race or nationality to be respectful of food smells in communal environments, no matter how traditional a food might be. Fun fact, the most prominent example of this is durian, a traditionally smelly South Asian fruit. Most South Asian countries actually have banned durian from being consumed in communal spaces, including public transit areas, because it's considered to be offensive and disrespectful. Edit to add, I've said 80 trillion times now. I lived in Asia. I said South because first, I didn't want to exclude durian to one single region. The only region where I haven't seen a popularity or availability of durian is North. Second, geographically speaking, I lived in Japan. So when I think in my head, everything feels to the west to me. Should I have better articulated? Probably. Does that give people a reason to be horrible and nasty? Nope. You'll just get reported, so don't even try. No. I'm Korean and I can tell you that the majority of Korean food stinks to high heaven. Lots of fermented foods, and practically everything is loaded up with garlic and/or chili flakes. So am I not allowed to bring in my leftovers from dinner or lunch, like everyone else does, just because my food is Korean? I can't eat what is essentially the national dish of my culture at work so that I don't offend the nostrils of those who have never sniffed a spice? Durian is a fruit that people enjoy, but can easily do without. Kimchi is a national dish that is incorporated in a lot of our meals. And so are high-smelling curries for Indian dishes, and rotted fish are to Scandinavian cuisine. But I think typical office etiquette comes into play here. Do Scandinavians eat rotten fish daily? My father ate kimchi every single day with every single meal, even crap like spaghetti, because that's how prevalent and important kimchi is to Korean people. I could see the same argument being made for curries, which are a staple. Is rotten fish a staple that is served with every Scandinavian meal? Or are you creating a convenient straw man by comparing kimchi to rotting fish? You are trying so hard to make this a race issue when it's a stank issue. I am Korean. I make my own delicious kimchi and I would never bring it to work. My white co-workers also eat kimchi and don't bring it to work. They also don't microwave fish, broccoli, popcorn, or anything else that has a super stink factor. Not to mention, I also live in Alaska, where almost everyone except me loves salmon. Yet they somehow survived not being able to eat their fishy leftovers at work. Nothing to do with race unless you think only white people eat fish and broccoli, and that white people don't eat kimchi. Posted by user Hundmoln, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to change my necklace? So I've worn a necklace for the last 10 years. My friend, who is pagan, gave it to me as a gift when we first met. This friend passed away last year. The necklace is a pentagram. I do not believe it has magic. I am agnostic. I do not believe in any religion being better than another, because I don't think any religion is right. But I keep this to myself. I just like the necklace, and my friend was and is important to me. It is the only jewelry I wear. I recently met my brother, Mans, for dinner, and he introduced his girlfriend Eva, early 30s. She is Christian, and she believes in very many things I do not. She was very polite, but my brother told me she was uncomfortable. He said she comes from a culture where those things are evil. She does not want it in her life. I said I am not evil. I am wearing a star. It is rude. I do not ask her to take off her crucifix, which had a dead man nailed on it, which creeps me out a little. He told me that Eva would be coming to dinner next Sunday. It would be at our parents' home. They do not believe either. Mans asked them to please talk to me. They said no. In their home, I will wear what I like. They have said they would not pray either, like Mans has asked. Our sister Greta has asked Mans not to bring around someone ignorant. Mans is mad at me for not removing the necklace. I believe that it is not evil, that saying someone is evil because of a star is wrong, and I do not like his girlfriend for demanding such things. Am I the a-hole? Simply put, no. These guys suck for trying to control what you wear and what you believe, just because they believe differently. What you are doing is not egregious, it's not over the top, it's not overly offensive, it's not like bringing kimchi into work, that's for sure. I think you just keep doing what you're doing, Siswa, keep on wearing the star, no one really cares except these two. Just tell them to piss off if you have to, like that's what I would do, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's pretty entitled to expect other people to avoid wearing or doing things just because you may not be comfortable with it. You should be able to wear what you like. And OP says, it is a star with a circle around it, nothing else. I'm not sure why my necklace is somehow less offensive than her necklace. And when I asked Mans this, he said she had belief and I had no belief. So why did my necklace matter more? I could not believe my ears. Doesn't matter whether your necklace has any belief attached to it. You like it, you are allowed to wear it. She doesn't like it? Well, no one's asking her to wear it. Simple as that. OP replies, which I agree is truth. I have no desire to ask her to change her cross. I have no need to pretend someone with Christianity is more important than someone without Christianity. If this were my brother, I'd speak to him about his priorities, and about the fact that this girl's behavior is controlling, disturbing, and problematic. She's trying to force others to fit the mold of her specific beliefs, something very few Christians aside from fundamentalists would do. Is that sort of coercive control really what he wants to live with? someone who asks him to bully his loved ones, someone who makes petty demands of others, insisting they change to suit her morality. What other demands or changes is she going to ask him to make? Will she expect him to join her church? Encourage him to shun his evil family? Going to your boyfriend's parents' house to have dinner with his non-religious family and actually asking and expecting everyone will pray is beyond the pale, in my opinion. That's not how a guest acts. She does sound controlling. Posted by user ThrowRa739282726 titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter's boyfriend about her herpes? My 48 female daughter, 19 female, got genital herpes a few years ago when she was taken advantage of. I don't want to go into more detail on this. It was very traumatic for everyone. She's now in her first serious relationship and has been with her boyfriend, 21 male, for 3 months. I asked her if they were sexually active and she said yes, but he doesn't know about her herpes. She said that since she's on suppressant medication that he would never know, and it's very unlikely that he would get it too. However, it's still possible to give it to someone even on suppressants. I told her she needs to tell him as soon as possible so he doesn't give it to anyone else. She said that she'd only do that if they break up and was very upset that I was pressuring her. I went behind her back and told her boyfriend over Facebook. Now she's telling me that no one will ever love her, no boy wants someone with her condition, and that I scared away the only boyfriend she's ever had. I feel like an a-hole, but I did it for the boy's health and so that it wasn't spread. Man, it's hard to give a little bit of an evaluation on this one, but I think she kinda sucks for still having sex with him while she knows that she has genital herpes, regardless of how she got it. It was a very unfortunate circumstance, but if you're not being forthright about that with your partner, I don't feel like they can trust you. And yes, it was a dick move what OP did by going behind her back and telling him, but I feel like that was something that needed to be done. I don't agree with it happening. I feel like he needed to know one way or another, and I don't agree with the way that OP went about it. I think OP should have given her daughter time to tell him herself and stopped having sex until that point, and see how he wanted to deal with the situation. If I was him in the same situation, I probably would break up with her because not having that same level of trust really hurts a relationship, and you don't want to start off on a bad foot like that. I'm gonna have to go with everyone sucks here in this situation. That was handled really messily. Everyone sucks here. She should have told him, but I think you may have crossed a line by telling him yourself instead of your daughter working up the courage to discuss it with him like adults. I don't know. It feels icky that you are so involved with your child's sex life. No way. You get a pass when it comes to telling someone they might get fudging herpes because your daughter doesn't want to act responsibly. Purposefully spreading venereal diseases makes you a lot more of an a-hole, and I'd be banned for saying what. Also, since the test for it shows if you've ever been exposed, not only an active infection, and active infections vary from person to person, this is essential info. It doesn't look the same on each person. Herpes testing isn't always standard unless you either A, know you've been exposed, or been in a situation that you need to be tested, or B, ask for a full panel. It also has weird complications too. I worked in Obgyn office and this was a common conversation. Precisely, and if the gender's flipped, I have to think the boyfriend would be arrested already. That's not a, oh, since we've been highly active several times, might as well let you know you have herpes, because I might have neglected to mention that I do, subject. I get that it's touchy, but at least giving the guy a heads up about protecting himself a bit more than maybe the average level is warranted. There are some details you can be cagey about and withhold. Whether you're VD clear, that's not a let's withhold and just see what happens detail. Nobody gets arrested for not disclosing herpes. What? It ain't just women that get off from that because nobody gets arrested for that, lol. But you can absolutely be sued for negligence or battery if you give someone an STD you know you have. Not the a-hole. Your daughter should not have hidden that. She would be knowingly exposing him to it without his consent or knowledge. This, in fact, is a serious crime in some places, usually classified with sexual assault. And for good reason. Giving people a lifelong disease isn't something that should be rug swept and only told after they break up. It's just super messed up that Opie's daughter was so reluctant of telling her boyfriend that Opie had to do it herself. But maybe I'm just thinking too much like a Canadian. Pretty illegal to not tell people you have an STI or HIV. Was even taught that in school during health class, along with a general breakdown of the specific diseases and infection. Everyone sucks here. A very reluctant everyone sucks here at that. I, 28 female, have HSV too, caught from my boyfriend, 29 male. It isn't your job to have these conversations for her, but assuming this was for the greater good of public health, did you tell her you intend to tell him? In a best case scenario, she would say, "Right, Mum, sorry, I'll tell him." But that didn't happen. So based off of your opening post, you had this conversation, she said no, and she had no plans, and you found him on Facebook and sent the message off. That's a huge violation of her trust, and embarrassing to boot. Yes, she was also violating his trust, but that isn't your burden to shoulder. The HSV2-DX is a huge burden. Hop on over to any of the HSV2 positive subreddits on this website, and you'll see the countless posts lamenting on the immense stigma, the depression and anxiety entering into a new relationship, people saying they feel hopeless and helpless, they have no future, will never find someone to love them, etc. I can't begin to explain how difficult it was for me, and I caught it from someone I love. Indeed, we can't traumatize others just because we were traumatized or suffered ourselves, but this goes beyond that. There were myriad avenues for resolution that didn't involve you intervening. Since those conversations would have been significant and you left them out, I'm going to have to assume that you never had them and you gave her one singular chance. If you were this passionate and trigger-happy about sexual health 3 months ago, that would have been the time to have the tough talk of, you must disclose to all your partners because it's the right thing to do. Yes, she's stupid for not knowing, but I'm still floored that you found a way to involve yourself at the worst possible time. Casual dismissal of boyfriend's health being at risk without his knowledge. This post is full of excuses. You don't get to F other people and have a diagnosis like herpes secret. Please don't be so selfish. Posted by user IndependentAd2341. Titled, "Am I the a-hole for attending a party even though I was only invited as a pretty face? Not just anyone to hold." Last month, I, 25 female, got surprisingly invited to an exclusive party that entertained a bunch of tech and creative people who were killing it in their industry, and are important clients of my company. The invite came as a surprise because many of my colleagues, who have been working in the company way longer than me, did not receive an invitation. I was told by a good friend of the CEO, who throws these parties, that the reason I'm most likely invited has less to do with my work and more to do with the fact that I'm a good-looking woman and he wanted a few pretty faces around. At first, I was furious and didn't want to show up, but then decided screw it. I figured it would still be a great event to network and to build those LinkedIn connections, so I went. In the end, I managed to partner up with a few of these suits and basically created a role for myself within their companies. When my sister heard of this, she got mad. She said I shouldn't have gone, and what I did was morally wrong. She thinks I supported misogynistic behavior and says I should have gone to HR. I don't think I did anything wrong. I used this invite as an opportunity to advance my career, and I don't feel bad about it. Am I the a-hole for this? I think being invited for being a pretty face is better than not being invited at all, especially if you know how to use these connections and, I don't know, work the social dynamic to your advantage now to the point that you've partnered up with a few people and created a role for yourself. That sounds pretty sick to me. I do think your sister is looking out for you. I don't think she's going about it in the right way, probably doesn't fully understand the dynamics of this situation. That doesn't particularly make her an a-hole, she's probably just ignorant of the fact. I want to say not the a-hole for this one, but also leaning on no a-holes here. Not the a-hole. What exactly could you have gone to HR for? Ah, mate, the CEO's friend said that I was only invited because I'm a pretty woman? You have no idea what the truth is, and even if it is the truth, there is no proving it. So you went and you killed it, making connections, etc. That's top quality screw you if there was misogyny in play. I agree with this, and lose the misconception that HR exists for employees. HR's primary role is to protect the company. I'm not saying I like it, but it's the truth. Lol at the idea that company HR, which is owned, operated, hired, and fired by the CEO, would be able to discipline the CEO for anything he did, let alone something based in hearsay. Well, they wouldn't be able to discipline him per se, but they would be able to inform him he was leaving himself open to legal liability potentially, though not through this word-of-mouth stuff. Psh, depending on the size of the company, HR could go through legal to talk to CEO, but if there isn't in-house legal counsel, the CEO isn't going to respect the opinion of someone who may have a college degree. Not the a-hole for taking advantage of your boss's sexism, but I urge you to use your privilege to help out and stand up for your less genetically blessed co-workers, particularly the older women who tend to get treated as invisible, and keeping in mind that you will eventually become one of these women too. Use your powers for good. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.